Hey everyone, one of the things that really intrigues me is this. You get this baby who can't do anything at the total mercy of their parents, but yet somehow has the ability to have their parents on around their pinky finger, getting them to do everything, including changing diapers. And when they get to about 3 years old, they know if I want this, which parent I have to ask, and how do I have to ask it to get what I want? Those little monsters are such great salespeople. And when they grow up, sometimes they lose that super ability. Today, we've got an expert that's going to talk about sales and how we can get that back so we become unstoppable, get what we want, and make the world a better place. Kayvon Kay, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
So nothing happens till somebody sells something, whether it's an idea to do some research to cure cancer, or
Yeah.
it's sending a man to Mars, or it's going to sell a car if you're a sales guy.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Kayvon, why is it that in our society, so many people have negative beliefs around sales?
I love that you just said that because I just finished a talk and I said selling is evil. Manipulation, trickery, NLP. Better watch out. Better watch out for that used car salesman. Don't sell me. The challenge is sales is the number one hated industry in business, but yet it's the only one businesses need to survive.
Absolutely. And you know what's kind of interesting is this. I've been in audiences with salespeople, and one of the ways to uncover beliefs that we have is to just have a simple sentence because beliefs happen when we're really young. And the sentence is salespeople are, and I have two flip charts, one on this side of the stage
Yeah.
and one on the other side of the stage. And when someone says something positive, salespeople are outgoing, I get a green marker and I write down salespeople are outgoing. And then someone says salespeople are driven, green. Salespeople make things happen, green. Then after about 5 or 6 positive comments about salespeople, someone says salespeople are evil.
Yeah.
Will sell their grandmother, will lie to you. And that list, guess which list is always bigger, Kaon?
Well, it's obviously the negative list
The
because
one in the red, yeah.
yeah. I mean, there was a study done. So in 1940, so see, here's the thing: people don't even realize sales has been around since humanity, before Christ. Right? We got the settlers. We had the barters on the streets. We had the traders shouting. We had like people. The only way they can get business done, right, was through selling, some sort of selling. It's
Just before you
always
go
been
there,
there.
just before you
Sorry?
go there, by the way,
Yeah.
Jesus really sucked at selling, but he had these 12 great salespeople
Yeah.
that went out there
Yeah.
and got 2.5 billion people to be followers.
Absolutely. Right. Like I said, that's why I said it's been, before Christ. Now, they did a study in 1940 where only 10% of the population, so this is worldwide population, thought salespeople were sleazy. That means like 90% trust them. They did that study in 2016. 83% of the population do not trust salespeople. That's a huge significant difference. And the challenge is, well, why? Right? What's happened? Right? And what's happened is, just like in every industry, there are bad people that learn great things and do bad, right? And they're like, the problem is we had sales trainers out there in the 80s, always be ABC. Every salesperson loves ABC, always be closing, but I don't believe in ABC. I do believe in ABC, but not that ABC. I believe in always be connecting.
Right.
You see, most salespeople think it's a numbers game. I don't think it's a numbers game. I think it's a connection game. I think it's an empathy game. I think the best salespeople are actually doctors. They know how to ask the right questions at the right time. They diagnose. They learn everything they need to learn about the prospect. They understand their deepest desires, and then they have an idea of what they need to do to connect them to what their wants.
Excuse
Great
me,
salespeople are willing to say no.
I disagree with that 100%.
I love it.
So I'll tell you why I disagree with it. Kayon, if I had your balls in my hand and each time you didn't want to agree with me, I squeezed them, you would agree with me. And I think for doctors, it's like, doctor, I've got this rash and I could be dying. Like the the frame that they're in is different. But I agree. Great salespeople, it's all about trust. And it's if I can establish enough trust between me and you, Kayvon, that you will let me know what's really going on.
Yeah.
And then I can figure out whether I can help you or not. Is that what seems to be missing between a lot of salespeople that just use techniques and don't care about the person, like the connection you spoke about?
Yeah.
Because you can be the most charming person in the world and you and I could have a conversation. And if you're not coming with the right intent, there's a part of my being can sense it and kind of go, something's not quite right. But when you come with, Umar, tell me what's going on, and we make that connection, I can feel it. And then we find out whether you can help me or not. But I trust you either way.
Well, I mean, there's no sales without trust, right? People need to know, like, and trust you.
Yes.
They need to know, they need to like, and they need to trust you. Your job as a sales professional is to make them feel seen, heard, and right. And the only way you can do that is through connection, is by asking the right questions, is not salespeople put themselves first, and that's why a lot of them end up on the bottom. True professionals put the prospect first, and that's why they end up on top.
Right. Absolutely. So let's talk about that like thing. I had a guest on the show. He's written a book about how introverts are really great salespeople. Like they have this sense that you need to be an extrovert. And
some of the greatest salespeople are introverted.
Yeah. And I remember when I first thought about sales, I used to run a video store where we rented videotapes for you to rent for $6 a night. And then you had to pay a membership, $100 membership to join my video club, to have the privilege to pay me $6. And this guy from Hitachi would come in. He was the sales manager. And it turns out that he was their number one salesperson for Hitachi, selling TVs and VCRs. And he also worked part-time at an appliance store selling stoves and stuff. But he was the number one salesperson there. And he was introverted and just very consultative. And you trusted him. And this is the first time I went, wait a minute. I thought salespeople were like, hey, how are you? My name is Umar. I'm going to know. That was not the case. That the reality was it's all about connection.
Well, that too. And you actually want to pattern, if you want to be great in this, in the world that we live in, where again, 83% of the people don't even trust sales. Heck, salespeople don't even trust salespeople. That's the world we're living in right now. Daniel Pink, I'm not sure if you know Daniel Pink, is selling as human. He did a study, and in his study, he said 9 out of 10 people don't trust salespeople. That's, to me, is insane, right? And I just lost my thought, unfortunately, because I was going somewhere with it. But we were talking about.
Let me add on to it as you try and recoup. So what's really interesting is 9 out of 10 people may not trust salespeople, but they all buy stuff. And
nobody likes to be sold, but they love to buy, right? Nobody likes to be sold, but they love to buy. So I always say, help them buy. Keep going. Sorry, keep going.
So sales is a critical element in what we do. And here's an old joke, but a goodie. Are you ready? How do you make a salesperson cry? Give him a telephone.
There we go. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, the reason I was so excited to have you on the show was the one call close. And before we go there, I want to just do a quick shout out to one of our sponsors. Say hello to the Instant Review Kiosk. The Instant Review Kiosk captures video testimonials, then automatically converts them into Google written reviews. This is huge for 3 reasons. Number 1, you get more reviews. Number 2, video reviews are just as powerful as a personal recommendation. And most important, we make it super easy for your customers to leave you a review at the height of the experience. Increase your sales by getting a kiosk today. So the one call close.
Yeah. So I got it's interesting because as I was going, I got my thought back, and it's actually important because it's, part of it, actually the part of the one call close. So you were talking about, hey, you thought sales was all like, hey, how are you? This big, loud, vibrant thing. And I actually tell people in this world, again, where 9 out of 10 people don't trust, you need to have a pattern interrupt. It's actually a pattern interrupt. So part of the one call close, I don't like using NLP. I'm actually don't.
So
I
NLP
don't
is a great
associate.
communication platform. Like there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it. It's just like a knife is a weapon in the hands of a
yeah,
mugger. And
yeah.
so anyway, please go on.
I use NLP techniques as I've learned or naturally gone that way, but I don't come out and say, oh, this is an NLP tactic. But pattern interrupt is part of an NLP
Right. So
training.
just so we kind of put a foundation down, because
Yeah.
So the reason I love NLP is when you use NLP or any other communication tool, if the intent is to honor the person that you're speaking to help them communicate, to help them understand, if that is your intent, hallelujah. If the intent is to manipulate, then not
Yeah.
so good.
Exactly. Right. I agree 100% on that. So the pattern interrupt, right? I always tell, especially even at the beginning of the one call closes, if I get on the phone with somebody at the beginning, what does a salesperson say? Hey, how are you? How's the day? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. We got 2 for 1 over here, right? Exaggeration. But I actually I teach the opposite. It's actually, again, I know you didn't like the doctor, the analogy. I use a doctor analogy as a doctor frame, because when a doctor walks into a room, what do? They're not asking about your day. They're not there. What are they doing? They're asking questions about your health, and they keep and they don't leave until they have enough information for them to make a diagnostic. Now, I'm not talking about what happens when they leave the room and how they come back with that. I'm just talking about the energy of doc. What do we do in the society? A lot of people, they respect doctors. They value doctors, right? And that's why I tell people, think about it as a doctor. When you get on the call, you're not excited. You're not mean. You're just.
If you're calling me.
Right. If I'm calling you,
so what does that sound like? So you go ring, ring, I say hello. What happens next? What do you do next?
Well, I mean, we're talking outbound now, so I'm inbound. But if we're talking outbound, right? Hey, is this John?
It is.
Hey, John. Sorry, I'm kind of embarrassed. Your name was dropped on my desk here. Were you at some point looking to build an Amazon store, whatever it might be? Were you looking to get your, is that correct? Right? Pattern interrupt. Because most salespeople would go, hey, how's it going, John? It's Kayvon here from XYZ company. I'm not sure if you heard of us. You haven't? Oh, we're the number 1 in the industry. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. How's your day going? So the pattern interrupt there. I tell people what the one call close is all set up with marketing. So it's inbound, right? So people are booking a call.
Much better. They're interested. They're putting their hand up.
Yeah. So I tell people, like, if you want to learn about dialing for dollars and stuff like that, that's not what we do here. That's not like, it's very important. I want to be very clear when someone says that, like, I believe in dialing for dollars, and I believe it's very important to do that. However, with the world that we live in, if you can get the marketing done right, you don't have to work that hard, because unfortunately, as much as I said earlier, sales is a numbers game. Well, unfortunately, dialing really is. You can try to build as many relationships as you want, but like the fact to try to get a hold of people, to get them on the phone and stuff, like that's a lot of work. So I always say this is there's a difference between an MQL, like an MQL lead, and an SQL lead, right? A marketing qualified lead versus a sales qualified lead. And I tell, if you said you do a lot of sales managers, so I say this, and this is actually very important. I'll say this because I just had this happen 3 weeks ago. I was at a marketing conference. So you're going to love this, because this wasn't at a sales conference. This was at a marketing conference. So like a world-class marketer went on stage and said this. And I was like, oh, if your salespeople need to do marketing on the phone, marketing didn't do their job. And what does that mean, though, right? Like me and you get that, but what does that mean? Well, if I have to sell features and benefits on the phone because the prospect doesn't actually understand what we do, who we are, what it is, they shouldn't be on the phone with me unless, again, keep in mind, unless it's a cold calling and you're trying to reach out to people. Me, I think there's a smarter way. I think with Facebook and obviously targeting and funnels, you can filter out a lot of people so that ones that are booking are actually qualified people. They're a little bit above what we call the waterline. So they're looking for it right now, or they're looking for it in 30 days, and they have a need. They know they have a need. They have a problem. They have a need. They want a solution, right? And we just happen to be the solution. So when they book a call with me, again, it's the same thing. It's not, hey, John, hey, how's it going? Kayvon here from Sales Connect. Is this John? Yeah, John, I'm just following up on our appointment we had booked today. Is that correct? Notice my energy. Notice my tonality. It's not up. It's not down. It's just, I call it, it's just absolute. It's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, it is. Okay, great. I got to get authority. Okay, well, first off, John, I just want to let you know here's what's going to happen. I'm going to probably ask you a few questions. Something you might not like, maybe you might not like them, but the only intent is for me to really understand what's going on with you, what's going on in your business, and then we can see if it's the right fit at the end of the call. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, great. So who's in charge now? Me or them?
You are.
Right? If you're not making sales, 10 extra questions. I always tell my sales guys this: if the prospects asks you 3 questions in a row, you've lost control of the call. Control the conversation, you control the call, you control your commissions.
In the old adage, he who speaks the most buys it. If you're a sales guy speaking the most, then you end up buying a no sale.
Yeah. One of my quotes is, the less you talk, the more you sell.
Yep.
Where in the 80s it was opposite, right? It was different. It was different. But what's happened is, obviously the internet's come out. We don't have the power. The salespeople used to have the power because the salespeople used to have what? They used to have the knowledge. They used to have the product knowledge, but they don't have the product knowledge. Just say, like, I will walk into the Benz dealership. Like every time I go buy a car, whether it's a Benz or whatever it is, I have researched that car for a year. I know more about that car than this sales manager. I was sitting there. I was sitting there with the sales manager, was talking about one of the packages. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to put that package in there because it doesn't come with, it was something like the carbon mirrors. He's like, yeah, it does. All our packages come with that. I go, no, not on that car. On that car, it doesn't. He's like, no, you're right. And he goes and looks it up and he's like, damn, you're right. Yes. Why? Because that's how people shop now. I can go online, learn everything about it, watch it. I can visualize. I see myself in it. I can put it whatever color I want. I build it however I want. And it's funny. I'm not in car sales, but I just know these stats being, sales trainer. On average, back in the day, people would visit like 3.4, so almost 4 different lots when they would go shopping for a car. They now go, it's less than 1. Like it's like they go to 1 because they know where they're going. They're not. You don't go out on a Saturday with your wife. Go, let's go car shopping anymore, right? Like people are like, hey, we're going to go out. I'm going to go out on a Monday. I know exactly what I'm getting. I don't have time. I want to go get it, and I'm leaving. And that's what it is, right? So it's challenging. It's definitely, the game's changed, and that's why it's all about relationships. One of the best advices, I was that salesperson. So I'll sell ice to an Eskimo. I don't know what rubbers to a monk, whatever it was, right? And loud, and I was and that worked. And that worked, and that allowed me to be good at sales.
Right.
But I was never great at sales. And when I learned the biggest lesson, which is people do business with people they like.
Absolutely. So in the world of data, it turns out that it's hard for a lot of salespeople to keep going. When they hear the first no, that's when they pack up their tents and they leave. Let's talk about that. Like, how do we get people to basically realize that a no is really somebody trying to find out more about what you're doing in order to get them to keep going and not run away?
Yeah.
So any thoughts on that? A, why is that happening? And B, what's a strategy to stop that happening?
Well, the question is why the salespeople are giving up or why the no is happening?
No, why they're giving up? Well,
because they're not properly trained, maybe, right? B, they don't understand. They don't actually understand that to be an effective salesperson, right? I had the best analogy was it's like baseball. In baseball, like they only hit the ball 20% of the time. So 20% of the time they hit the ball. That means what? 80% of the time they're missing the ball. They're failing. But yet they're getting paid, millions of dollars. That's exactly like sales. If you actually think that you're going to win 100% of the time in sales, you're delusional. I don't care. All these people, I got a 90% close rate. No, you don't.
The people that are hitting 20% are not getting paid that well. But the people that hit 30, which is like where you hit the record books, they get paid a whole lot, but still failing 70% of the time.
But I'm just saying you're failing 70%. You're failing 70% of the time. So you have to understand that. Like you got to wrap your mind around the fact that you're going to hear way more no's than you hear yeses. And if you're
All right,
not, if you don't mentally prepared for that, you don't mentally understand that that's the game you're going into, then it's the wrong game you're playing. If you don't understand the stats, which you just said stats, is that, and you said it, most salespeople don't do a follow-up after the first touch point. Yet the stats show that people buy on 13, 14.
Sure. So let's back up.
You don't even have to be a great salesperson. This is the best thing. You don't actually have to be a great salesperson to do great. You just need to show up and do your job, and you'll do great.
All right, so let's backtrack a little bit. So let's say you and I are playing baseball, and I'm missing 9 out of 10 at bats. I'm gonna feel like, each time I miss, hey, I gave it my best shot. But there's a psychological difference when I say, hey, Kayvon, would you like to buy this? Umar, we don't have budget right now. If you can reach out to me 9 months from now, I'll be ready. And a weak salesperson is going to go, absolutely, I'm going to calendar that. Thanks so much for letting me know, and get off. Whereas a good salesperson, so there's a psychological aspect to it.
Yeah.
Like it's more.
There's a commitment to it. There's a commitment to it.
How do we build more stronger salespeople that we realize this data? And because it's easy to say, hey, it's just data, don't worry about it. The more no's you hear, the better you do. But how do we train people to really realize, no, I'm a professional, and what I'm getting is more information from that customer. Yeah. So how do we, instead of making it just intellectual, we get it down here in their hearts? So they go, I got it.
Well, it's more training, more coaching, more development, right? More reps at bat, listening to their calls, dissecting, just like a coach would dissect the baseball's hit. Here's what you're doing. I don't play baseball, so I can't use more than that as an analogy, but like, here's what you're doing wrong. I'm sure with your elbow, right? When you swing back, you're all of that. So like the thing though is techniques only get you so far, right? You can, and great techniques can get you so far. But at the end of the day, this is why I always say this is part of my human-centric selling program I have. Human-centric selling is the sale starts with you first internally. Sales is a transference of energy and connection. You are a direct reflection of the results you get. So if you ain't getting the results, it has nothing to do with the leads. It has nothing to do with the product. It has nothing to do with the services or the market. Those are all excuses. It has something to do with what's going on the inside. And usually the reason why a salesperson wouldn't stay on that phone call is they lack conviction, they lack clarity, they lack certainty. Those are the three, I call them the 3 C's. Those are the 3 C's you need, because if you're absolutely certain that you have a product or a service that can actually change someone's life, because that's what sales is. You're helping people change. People don't buy products or services. You know what they buy? We're way too ahead, but here, the deepest core psychological thing that they buy, a better version of themselves. That's what they're buying. And when you understand that, the game of sales changes, right? So do they have conviction, right? So conviction only comes from certainty and clarity. So am I absolutely clear on what this product is, clear on what the prospect needs, clear on what their needs are, what their problems are, and clear that my service or my product can help them with their problem? Yes or no? Is that clear? If that's not clear for me and that's not clear for them, there's gonna be no sale, right? Certain. Do I have absolute certainty in my product, absolute certainty in them too, that they are going to use this product, they're going to implement it, that it's going to work for them? If all these things are missing, as soon as you hear a no, I mean, it's very easy to be like, okay, next, right? Versus, well, wait a minute, you didn't have you said you didn't have a budget, or you don't have the budget for it next year. I get that. Let me ask you, you reached out to us 2 weeks ago, is that correct? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's just take a step back. What prompted you to reach out? I'm not even listening to objection. To me, objections are resistance, right? Now, there's some people that might there are some times, at odd time, right, where someone actually has a budget and they're, in corporate and, they got to do that. But like, to me, I'm like, okay, next. The problem is, this is another problem we have, is most salespeople are so damn attached to the sale that they lose it. The question is, well, why? Is because they don't have enough people in their pipeline. Because if you're attached to one sale, you're always going to come out no matter what. Your energy will be desperate. Your energy is what we call as commission breath. And you will not have the clarity in your mind to be able to see the puzzles, like chess, like sales is like a chess game, right? Or check, however you want it. It's a game. It's a game of wits, right? And it's understanding how to connect with these people at a certain level that allows them to eliminate the objections and the resistance and to really see what's going on. Because really, most people are not buying because they either they really can't afford it, like truly can't afford it, which, okay, I get that, or they don't justify the value. But here's the funny thing. When someone justifies value enough, they'll figure a way to buy it.
And to add number 3, there's either no trust, no value, or no money, baby.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying in terms of that conversation that we're having with customers, I think a lot of people, like, you've got friends where you can clearly see what's going on with your friend, whether it's with their girlfriend or whatever problem they have. You as a friend can clearly see it. They have a blind spot.
Yeah.
And customers are the same way. It's our job as salespeople to help them see the situation clearly. Because sometimes it's like, oh, this is going on, that's going on, that's going on. None of them seem that bad, but together it's like a freaking nightmare. So A, getting them to see the situation clearly. And 2, if we can get them to get an insight into the situation, then the sale is 90% there. And I think that's what we need to do, is to really, as salespeople, make that connection, build that trust, help them get clarity on their own situation for the customer, give them an insight, and then offer them a solution. Well, it sounds like you said this is a horrible, hairy thing. It's like, holy shit, yeah, it is. Well, this is a way for you to solve it. What would you like to do? And most people go, how do we move forward? So
I would say this, though. The question bears, though, is how do you get them? How do you get them to see that, right? That's the question we should be asking, because to give some value here is, well, how do you get them, how do you get someone to make themselves see clear with that, right? So in one word, questions.
Yeah. I mean, so here's an interesting kind of thing. By the way, do you have any kids, Kayvon?
I got 2.
2. Who's the youngest?
I got a 4-month-old and I got a 3-year-old. So I'm what they say in it right now.
Okay. And the 4-month-old, the name?
Levi.
Levi. Do you remember the last time Levi smiled at you?
Yeah, like this morning, right?
Yeah. So that question I asked, I just freaking changed your brain chemistry. That's the power we have with questions, is that it can change your freaking anybody's brain chemistry.
Yeah.
And we take it for granted. Oh, yeah, asking questions. Yeah, I know about questions. It's like, no,
it's
with questions, you get somebody to fire off pictures, emotions.
Yeah.
And so that's something to be used with care and strategy, because it's such a gift that we have to get people to get those insights by asking those questions.
So it's about asking the right questions. And you said, I love this, is that with intent. You said intentionality. It's asking the right questions with intent, right? At the right time, for the right reasons. That's key here. What does right reasons mean? I hate when people just do these quotes, but they don't actually follow up. Right reasons is not reasons that you want, reasons they need. Very different. I'm not asking a question because I want to get you to the sale. I'm asking a question because I want to understand discovery. I need to understand the situation. I'm not just asking questions for the sake of asking questions, right? So it's asking the right questions at the right time with finesse. Now I'll say this is very important. When you say something, it means something. When they say something, it means everything. And the only way you can get them to actually say the thing that you want to say to them is by asking the right questions and leading them there.
Absolutely.
So there's another thing I'll tell you. I'll give you another tool, especially in the one call close and the one. There's 3 levels of pain. So psychology. There's the basic psychology. There's 3 levels of pain. First level pain.
No, not the groin. Not the groin. Sorry, go ahead. What are the 3 levels of pain?
3 levels of pain, right? The first level is what we call surface level pain.
Surface.
Oh, my leads aren't there. My marketing, this, that, whatever it might be. Most salespeople stay on that level. Because they don't have the internal connection with themselves. They don't even have the confidence to start stepping down, right? Stepping down to second level pain is what we would call business or financial pain. So as a result of this is happening, what's happening financially? Where real sales, real connection happens is when you step down to level 3, which is not easy for a lot of sales because they haven't gone through the journey themselves. They're still living a world of fake themselves that they've never actually looked in the mirror and looked in their own souls and see what they're about. But the third one is personal pain. And when you get to personal pain, that is where you'll get your sales.
Absolutely, because it's an energy when you get people to realize their pain. And oftentimes, one of the things we do is that, I might be getting a divorce. So I put that aside and I kind of focus on TV, on doing those surface level things to distract myself. And customers are the same way. Is that like, oh yeah, we didn't quite get that sale. And so, we're going to do better next time. I've had a talk with the salespeople, and then we don't think about the CEO is thinking, Kayvon, do you know, should you have a job? It's too scary to think about. And when we have the ability to have that conversation with our prospects and get that trust, and we can ask those questions, one of the things I do is dig down to each of those areas. So by not getting enough sales, what's happening? Oh, our pipeline's really weak. How much is that costing you? Get a financial number. And then what's the emotional impact of this? And at the end, when we summarize, it's like, oh, so just to recap, you told me that you've got this problem with this financial impact and this, you're up at night worrying about what the hell is going on. You got this thing, it's costing you this much, and the CEO is doubting your abilities. And then, so it sounds like this is a pretty serious problem. And if you add up the math, it sounds like a $5 million problem.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how we can make that go away. And then ask them, what would you like to do? And oftentimes,
you just said it. I never ask for the sale in high ticket sale. I never say, let's do it. I ask what you just said. My biggest one is, where should we go from here? Or
love that.
Or what should happen next? And they tell me, because if I have to ask for the sale, that means I had to sell them. I don't want to sell them. I want to enroll them. I want them enrolled. I want them to say, I want it. Now I'm going to give you a secret if you haven't heard this one, because in my type of sales, it's all phones, like phone and or Zoom. There's no in-person, right? So usually when a sale is done, or they say, yeah, what happens next? A handshake. You don't get a handshake in the virtual world. So I always call this it's called the double handshake. So imagine just to say, yeah, let's move forward. Just work with me. Say it.
Say it. Repeat that one more time.
You want to say you want to move forward.
Kayvon, I want to move forward.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I want to move forward.
Okay,
that's the double handshake.
That's a double handshake. Act like, sorry, what was that? Because you'll always get them. The second one, you'll get them. They'll say it. They'll feel, I want to move forward. Okay.
Yeah. So let's say before we get there, you say, so what would you like to do? And I go, Kayvon, it sounds really good, but I'm not sure this is the right time. So that's a legit objection. So how do you handle that objection? Like, what's the formula for handling objections?
So two things here. I have to tell you this is in my process, I do my absolute best, obviously, to eliminate objections and anything about time commitment. So I'm in my discovery, I'm asking, so when is the right time? They're telling me right now, right? Because if they say 30 days or 40 days, like, okay, then why are we on the call? Right? Because I'm not going to, why we, so I get that. And then I also tell them, I always get them commit before. So before I mention price, I just said, so let me ask you, like, we said this and this and this, like, how committed are you to actually changing this, right? To get their commitment. So then, because it's very important, I tell you this, because this is how I handle it. Because when they go, well, I don't have the time, I go, whoa, John, just 20 minutes ago, or sorry, whatever, 10 minutes ago, you told me you were committed and now's the right time. What's changed? We know what's changed. The only thing that's changed is money. But again, when I say something, it means something. When they say something, it means everything. So if I said, what's changed? It's the money, isn't it? That doesn't mean anything. Where if I just say, well, what's changed? Like, what happened? And they say, well, it's the money. Well, then boom, it means something. Okay. Well, then that's something.
Or let's say I go, well, I don't want to make a mistake. I want to get this thing right.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. John, I don't
Which
want
is
you.
like a legit thing. Like at that point,
And John, I want to
especially
make
if they've
sure.
had mistakes in the past. This comes
Yeah.
up. So what's the mechanism you use to handle that objection?
Yeah, here it is. John, I agree. I don't want you to make a mistake, and we don't want to make a mistake. We want to make sure this is the right thing. So let's take a step back here. What does making a mistake look like to you?
Pause right there. Okay, brilliant. So that's exactly the way to do it, is to really get them to articulate what that feels like.
What's a mistake? See, the problem is, right? Like this is the thing in sales. When I say that isn't it is a technique, but I don't do it as a technique. I do it from a different place of energy of, I don't know what a mistake is. And who am I to assume what a mistake is? I know what a mistake is in my brain, but I don't know what a mistake is in your brain. So how dare me to come up with an assumption? So I come from that place. And when I come from that place and I say that, it doesn't come off like sleazy, or doesn't come off like, oh, you're just trying to close me. It comes off sincere because I actually care. So I really want to know, like, what does a mistake look like to you?
So pause right there for a second. So that does all the things that you said. The other thing it does is it gives me clarity on what the frick I'm talking about.
Yeah.
As well. And that's one of the jobs of a salesperson, is to help me get clarity on my thoughts. Which is like just really brilliant, because A, your intent is to find out, and B, then I have to kind of go, well, a year ago we signed up for this program and they said this and it didn't actually work out. And then you can go in and dig into that.
I love that one. Yeah.
And I think that's our job as salespeople, is not to force anybody to do anything, but help them get clarity of thinking and help them solve a problem that they've got.
That's why I said, don't get sold, enroll, like, right? Don't sell them, enroll them. I love that one, by the way. I love that one. Like, oh, I tried this program and it failed me. Again, get curious. Oh, sorry, if you don't mind me asking, what program was that? Oh, it was Tony. Tony, you did Tony's program last. That's amazing. Wow, he's fantastic. But so let me just ask you, when you were going through that program, were other people having success? Well, yeah. So did the program fail you, or did you fail the program? Totally different.
True. And if you've got enough trust in that conversation, you're going to get the right answer.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough trust, you're going to get a different one. So yeah, absolutely. So Kayvon, you've probably done more than one podcast in your time on planet Earth. What's a question that you've always wanted to be asked that no one's asked you yet?
Well, that's a loaded question out of the gate.
Out of the gate? This is the end of our freaking podcast.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I didn't, a question that's never been asked. How about, no one ever asked me why selling?
Yeah. So Kayvon, why focus on selling? Like, there's so many sales. If I do a search right now on Google, I bet you there's going to be probably 4 million hits. If I go sales training, minimum 4 million hits. So there's a ton of people doing it. Why step into this arena?
For the love of the game. I have absolute love of the game. I have watched too many sales trainers selling old techniques, stuff that may have worked in the 80s will not work today. And I truly believe in my heart and in my passion and my right here in this world is to show people the true art of selling and connecting and being able to take this profession and be proud of it. To be able to walk into any room and people ask you, what do you do? And you say, I'm a sales professional. And you say that with honor. You say that with passion. The problem I see a lot of salespeople do is I call it the cape. They put their cape on Monday morning, they take their cape off on Friday, and they wonder why they're not making sales. Because I believe when you make that decision to become a sales professional, the cape never comes off. It becomes your identity. It becomes who you are.
Actually, when you answered that question, your whole demeanor changed. Like, this is heartfelt. This is who you are as a human being.
There's no choice for me. Like, I don't wake up and this is what I'm supposed to do. So,
all right, Kayvon, what's the question you need to ask me before we part company, if there is one?
out of all, you do a lot of podcasts, right? And I'm sure you train and you speak with a lot of great people that come through here. I would love to know what's the number one thing that sticks out the most that someone said, like the one thing that you'll never forget.
The one thing that I will never forget.
The one teaching, the one, key insight.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it today. In this world, sales or not, it's not about you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships, not only with your wife, your kids, but your customers. And when you step on a city bus and there's another human being sitting near you, the relationship you have with them. Because some people are just shut off in their own world, and other people acknowledge other human beings and just say a heartfelt hello goes a long freaking way, my friend.
Yeah. So to sum it up, is realizing sales is not about being selfish. It's about selflessness. It's not about, I always say, it's not about the commission. It's all about the mission.
Absolutely. Kayvon, thanks so much for being on the show. Any last words or comments before we part company?
Yeah, if anyone likes this and wants to learn more, they can come find me at very simple, kayvon.com. That's KAYVON.com.
Superb. I'm going to end the stream and let's chat for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you like this podcast, go check out Kayvon's stuff. He's a genius at what he does. And subscribe to the podcast, share it widely. And if you've got an idea for a really great guest, let us know.